As you know, I always explain to you so you get an idea about what's really happening in these operations. And here's Idris Carrick. He's 32 years of age. He's from Bosnia. He is an adult protective investigator for DCF in Pinellas County. Oh, by the way, I understand he's in the process of being terminated. Do you understand what I just said to you?
Well, howdy, y'all. Unky T here. As you can see from the lead in here, we got some more of the finest people that we have to represent our state. And you'll see that you get a wide variety of people again. People you wouldn't suspect to be in this walk of life, and people that, you just, they belong there. But anyway, you know how it works. Sheriff Judd and all his crew there doing the fine work of protecting the people of the state of Florida, and in particular the Polk County. So I'd like to say appreciation to them and kudos for the job well done and all the other people that are involved. So without further ado, here you go.
Okay, come over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with me today. I first want to point out that this operation would not have been possible without our colleagues from not only social services, but the police departments. In this county, we are exceptionally blessed with professional law enforcement, whether you're in the cities or in the county. And this is one more example of what we do every day. We work together. I could not be more proud of my folks. And when I say my folks, I'm not only talking about the men and women that work with me at the sheriff's office, but when I talk about my folks, I talk about my friends at the police departments. Dr. Marianne and I speak to you often because a top priority in this community is protecting victims, whether they be children or adults. And this was a human trafficking operation. Our team of deputies and police officers, in just a very few days, arrested 102 people. But first and foremost, we celebrate the fact that we believe we've identified 3 victims of human trafficking. Sometimes we do investigations, and try as we may, we cannot identify our victims of human trafficking. And they're some of the most difficult victims to work with, and that's why we bring in the experts that are here with us today. Because the moment we arrest someone or take someone into custody that came here to perform sexual conduct for money, we don't treat them initially as a suspect of a crime. We treat them as a potential victim of human trafficking. So they are immediately counseled by our experts, and you'll hear from them in just a minute. We are pleased. This is a Hispanic female. She's 17 years of age. And let me tell you a little history on her. Back in 2019, when she was only 15 years old, she met her trafficker in another country. This trafficker, she and her mother thought were her friends. They were all just moving around the different countries. May the 2021, our victim of human trafficking with her mother came here from Colombia via Mexico. The mom entered the country illegally. And that's important to understand. The mom entered the country illegally, and she was met in the United States by the trafficker who she had originally met in the Dominican Republic or Guatemala. So we highly suspect that the victim's mom may also be involved or a victim of human trafficking. We know this deal was set up by her trafficker. He's not in custody, he's under investigation, and I can assure you that we're going to do our best to locate him. Now, she came to the undercover site to perform sex for $230, and she was only 17 years old. So, as I said, immediately, we turned this child over to our experts, and you'll hear more in a minute. The 17-year-old said, well, I thought he was my friend. Well, he was her pimp, and he was trafficking her. So then we found 2 more human trafficking victims who were only 20 years of age. One of them was from Utah, the other one was from Mexico. They were 20 years of age. The young lady from Mexico is here illegally. And she came here with the lady from Utah to engage in sex for $550. This was set up by a pimp for this deal to occur. They don't have any previous criminal history. They're young girls, but they're being taken advantage of by these pimps. Ladies and gentlemen, what's scary about this is we suspect many more of these young ladies are also victims of human trafficking, but they would not work with us. They would not admit that they were victims of human trafficking. So as a result, we weren't able to even get to the first step with them. These 3 we celebrate because we were able to get to the first step. So if we'd only made 3 arrests in the entire week from all of the resources we put together, we would have been celebrating today. But there's much more to look at. As you know, I always explain to you so you get an idea about what's really happening in these operations. And here's Idris Karik. He's 32 years of age. He's from Bosnia. He is an adult protective investigator for DCF in Pinellas County. Oh, by the way, I understand he's in the process of being terminated. Do you understand what I just said to you? He investigates adult exploitation. He investigates abuse and fraud against the elderly on the other end of the age spectrum from what he was actually doing himself. He's a bad man. He needs to be out of the system, and he needs to be in jail, and that's where he is. Now get this. In order to get away from his wife, he agreed to take the kids to karate, and then, oh, by the way, I'll take them to their mother-in-laws. So he was having to work in excuses so he could get away from Pinellas County and zip over to Polk County in order to do the nasty deed for which he was arrested. Then there's Alicia Tucker. She's 36. She's from Orlando. She was in possession of cocaine. She had an outstanding warrant for trafficking in oxycodone. She's got a long criminal history. She has 52 prior criminal charges and or arrest. Did you hear me? 52. And she's only 36 years old. She's been arrested 7 times in Orange County, in the Orlando area, for prostitution. She's a slow learner. Nothing we've done in the criminal justice system has stopped her criminal conduct. I suggest it's time she go to state prison. That may be a novel thought if you're from Orange County, but this is Polk County, and we lock you up for doing bad things. And then there's Frances Hall. Frances Hall is a specialist. You see, she's in the kinky sex. She brings like a bag full of all kinds of things that we're not going to talk about, we're not going to show you, but she's like the wild deal here. She showed up to be a dominant in a dominant submissive event. She was charging $175. Well, newsflash, she got arrested. She claims her real job is data entry. We're not going to let her enter data at the jail, but her data was entered at the jail. This lady will get you in trouble fast. Then there's Shelby Atkinson. He's 49. He's from Hickory Street in Lakeland. He showed up on his birthday and was bragging that it's his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Shelby. How did that work for you? Well, we gave him a birthday gift. We gave him a nice set of handcuffs. And then we gave him a special meal at the jail. And then we gave him free room and board, all for his birthday. And when our undercovers negotiated the price with him, because it was his birthday, we offered him a $10 discount. Now, he certainly had a birthday that he'll remember forever. But there's more to the story. He has a long criminal history. He's got 30 previous charges from California. Well, Shelby, I suggest you pack up and go back to California. You know, they're not so tough on that stuff out there. In fact, I don't think California's tough on much of anything. So go back to California. Obviously, you didn't learn out there in the criminal justice system. We're going to give you a new-found lesson here in the state of Florida. He's, by the way, employed as a handyman. They didn't say what kind of handyman, but I highly suggest you don't hire this guy. Then there's Carlos Linanos. He's 30. He lives in Lakeland. He works for Purina Cattle Chow, or he actually blends vitamins into cattle food. Well, I guess that didn't occupy enough of his time, so he decided he'd have a half hour of sex for $75. It didn't work out that way. But do you know why he said he did that? Are you ready? You know, you can't make this stuff up. He's upset with his wife, so he decided to have sex to get back at her. That's right. He's married. He's mad with his wife. You know, I just don't believe at a marriage counseling session that they would have suggested that to Carlos in order to make things better at home. But anyway, he was arrested. Newsflash, it's not his first time. In 2019, in a similar operation to this, the same undercover detective who works for LPD caught him last time. That's right. He still hadn't paid off his $6,400 in fines, but he did have them worked down to $1,300 before he got arrested again. So, you know, he's already paid a ton for that sex, and now we've caught him again. So it is our prayer that upon conviction, they'll give him some time in the county jail and another $5,000 fine plus court cost. I suggest that his wife married a real loser. Then there's Antonio Young. He's 47. He works for the city of Lake Wales as a groundskeeper. He came all the way to the undercover location in Lakeland for sex, and he was carrying a firearm, but he does have a concealed weapons permit. He was not a convicted felon. This is a misdemeanor arrest. He showed up with $100, even though we told him it was $125. Antonio, you still owe us $25 for your non-sex event. He's on his way to jail, or in jail. Maybe he's bonded out by now. Then there's Eric Hawkins, 43. In Marion County, they have a Marion Senior Director of Transportation. Senior Services Director of Transportation. That's what he was. They didn't like the fact that he came here to engage in sex, and they immediately terminate him, as we're told. So not only did he not get sex, he got arrested, and he lost his job. Eric, how'd that work for you, buddy? We talk a lot about child predators, and you all know my #1 focus in life is to find these folks that want to attack our children. So while we're doing this undercover operation, our detectives who are specialists were online cruising the different social media sites, and guess what? We found Donald Spencer. He's 64 years of age. That's right. He's been down here about 1 year from Pennsylvania, and he's already in trouble here for very nasty things. He lives in Mulberry. He traveled to the undercover location thinking he was going to have sex with a 14-year-old child, a little girl. He told her online that he was going to teach her and monitor her and help her grow into this world of sex. That's right. So we charged him with traveling and attempted lewd battery. Then, get this, we're never at a loss for quotes as long as we do these operations. Here's what he told the detectives. I knew it was probably a sting, but I had to sacrifice myself in case it wasn't. Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? This guy's got 5 brain cells, 3 of them aren't working, 1 of them's used to operate the BB he's got for a brain. He came up to the operation, admitted he knew it was probably a sting, but that's how strong their desire is to have sex with children. Now, he was very, very nasty in his chat to what he thought was a little 14-year-old girl. All of this was social media driven. He was prowling children's social media sites looking for a child to attack. If this entire operation had have only caused this person to be arrested, it certainly would have been worth it. Then there's Pikachu. No, we didn't arrest him. But Pikachu, you see, is a co-conspirator, not a willing co-conspirator. Because the next guy that I'm going to introduce you to, as he's grooming this child, makes the statement, we want to cuddle with Pikachu and have sex in the back of the car. Did you hear what I said? Well, I talked to Pikachu. He confessed. He turned state's evidence and said, dude, I had nothing to do with this pervert. He just bought me off the shelf someplace. Pikachu doesn't like this. You know, if you play Pokemon or you're familiar with that, it's something like gotta catch them all. Well, our detectives from the sheriff's office and the police departments, I don't know that we caught them all, but we caught a bunch of them, didn't we? Yes, we did. Who's our guy who wants to cuddle with Pikachu and have sex with children? Theodore E. Jones, 28 years of age. He's either from Kissimmee or Satellite Beach. We found addresses for each. He's a chef at the Hangar in Disney Springs. That's where we found him. Our detectives were able to run him down, and he was there. And he had old Pikachu in the car. That's right. He told us what he thought was a 13-year-old child, a little girl, that he wanted to have sex with her for the first time. And that when they finished, he wanted to keep her panties. And he didn't come to the undercover location, so we went to him. We had to rescue Pikachu from that nasty environment. But more importantly, we had to find children who he was seeking. And he was seeking them once again on social media sites. He was using his computer. He was transmitting nude photographs of himself. That's right. To what he believed to be a 13-year-old child. He said very nasty things to this 13-year-old child to go along with the very ugly, vile, nude photographs that he sent. You know, it's also important to point out that we have this wonderful law in Florida that even if you're arrested for prostitution, once we determine that you're the victim of human trafficking, as you move through and receive services, and that arrest and any evidence of it by law has to be wiped out. So when we identify these folks, then, and they are victims of human trafficking, and they agree to the wraparound services that we're going to give them for free, then all evidence of that arrest, from the police report to the original case number to the photographs and the fingerprints, can all disappear. So there's a perfect opportunity for us, the government system, and us, the public's, the private system, to say, look, we're all in this with you to save you from this environment. All you've got to do is cooperate. Any other questions?
It was mentioned a lot of these were through social media. Was it just your standard apps, Facebook, Instagram, or were there other apps like maybe parents should be looking out for?
Thank you. First and foremost, it's apps where they're most likely to be able to interact with someone their age or someone interested in what they do. For example, the traditional prostitution apps you'll find in one area. You'll find our sexual predators prowling for children in apps that are of interest to children. So we are there undercover every day searching out those predators. So they need not to relax and say, oh, I got away with it. No, it's no tricks, no treats. Well, the reality of it is, this is not the last time we're going to do this until the next Halloween. No, this is what we do every day. And then
well, there you go, my friends. Another drop in the bucket being mopped up. Fine job, like I said, by the Polk County's finest. And I'd like to thank you all for being patient with me. I've been very busy lately. I've been trying to get moved and whatnot. So that in mind, I'd like to just say, y'all have a blessed day. Take care of yourselves. You take care of each other. And with God's blessing, we'll see you real soon. Bye for now.